Welcome back to episode 110 of the Chaos Ball podcast. It is the What the Hell Happened in April episode. As I alluded to last week in my midweek pod, I was going to do an episode wrapping up April. This is when we finally start to get some meaning from some numbers. There's just so much more to go. But it's been a month and some change of ball. And so there's enough here to talk about and have some takeaways for. So I'm just going to get into it. I have a lot to talk about. The Mariners it's kind of astounding that they're in first place right now. It's been very fun to watch. I do want to get into just some interesting numbers, some fun ones, some not so fun ones. It's been mainly good on the old numbers front for this team. But before I get into the numbers, where are we at? Where is this team at? And this is just as of April, well, as of May 1st, I guess, but before May 1st games have been played. The team is kind of falling apart at the seams injury-wise. It's really funny because if you ignore the record, like if you didn't know their record and you just kind of look at largely what's happened to this squad in the first month of this season, you'd think that nobody is having a good time. There have been so many injuries already to key guys. I mean, we started the season without George Kirby. We got, a week and a half of Victor Robles before he hurt himself. I'll talk about some other recent injuries that have happened. We knew Matt Brash wasn't going to start the year healthy. But it just now has just kind of, we've seen more injuries happen already this year than almost entirely last year. In terms of, let's say, total IL time for like big league contributing guys. And for a team with as little solid depth as the Mariners have, that's why I say they're falling apart at the seams, and it's astounding they're in first place. Like, so many injuries to key dudes. And yet, I am having a phenomenal time watching this baseball team play baseball. They're in first place, as I said, in the West. They have one of the best records in baseball, depending on when you are listening to this, but it'll still be true unless you're listening in like a couple weeks, then it obviously could change. But I think I can speak for everyone listening and to all the fans that I've loved watching this squad the past couple weeks. They've been electric. Post-Giants series, they have been absolutely cooking. With all the injuries that have happened, there's been a lot of Hancock on the mound, like up and down relief pitchers. The bottom of the lineups on paper have been so ugly, but they just keep winning. And those bottom of the lineups keep spitting in my face and producing runs on a nightly basis. Like, it's kind of ludicrous how effective these lineups have been despite just how yucky they look in a lineup graphic on social media. It's kind of insane. But the injuries, Logan Gilbert is hurt. That's not good. George Kirby's already hurt. We know this. But it was DEFCON 1. Is that the highest rank of DEFCON? I feel like it is. It was DEFCON 1 earlier this week when he just randomly exited a game. He was perfect through a couple innings, then exited the game with forearm tightness. And everyone collectively wanted, I think, to just kind of jump off a bridge there because forearm tightness so often means elbow surgery, especially in today's modern cut 'em up game in terms of pitchers' elbows. And we saw last season what forearm tightness could mean, because that's the issues that Brian Wu was having. There were concerns he was going to have surgery. He didn't. But we talked about his season. He was on such a limited pitch count last season. He just didn't manage to get up to full speed until basically midway through the year. He had a couple little IL stints here and there, but so we know what forearm tightness can mean. Either way, it's not good. No matter what happens, it's not good. But there was some good news in the short term. The MRI wasn't like catastrophic, so he's out for a few weeks with right elbow flexor strain, and then they'll reevaluate. Overall, not great. Could have been worse. He could just be having surgery right now or have had it already. Still, he has an opportunity it still has an opportunity to be worse. I mean, we're all thinking it. There's a possibility he comes back, throws again, and then needs elbow surgery for real. In the meantime, though, the patchwork at the back of the rotation could be worse thus far. I mean, Hancock has been super serviceable. Back-to-back quality starts for Emerson Hancock, which has been amazing. Spitting in the haters' faces, which was kind of me, but I've been more of a supporter than Hancock than others, I want to say, maybe. And then Logan Evans got called up because of this Logan Gilbert news. Different Logans. Logan Evans not quite as tall. We saw his numerous breaking balls this week, which was fun. I've called him Rust Belt Seth Lugo. I'm patenting that name. His breaking pitches are great, and he has just a kitchen sink approach, which is pretty rare for a pitching prospect these days. A lot of pitching prospects, especially in the Mariners org, have followed that. You have an elite fastball and good stuff, good mechanics. You'll work hard. We'll get you into the lab. Your fastball is going to work really well for you, and we'll work on that secondary stuff. And we've seen it with Logan, how his secondary stuff has become almost better than his fastball. We saw it with George Kirby. We've seen it with Bryce Miller and Brian Wu. Both rely heavily on the fastball, but the secondaries, as they improve, they'll be so good. That's kind of just how it works for a lot of pitchers, too. A lot of guys have really good fastballs, whether it be a four-seam, sinker, cut, or whatever. Logan Evans does not have that. He has very good breaking pitches. I'm a little worried still about that. I'm worried about him having a pretty below average four-seam fastball in terms of just like pure stuff. Even if he can get his sinker to be above average, and like his cutter is so not a fastball. His cutter really looks like a fourth breaking pitch to me, but it's classified as a cutter. So even if he can get those to be consistent, like especially the sinking fastball would be really nice for him. That grades out a little bit better already. But even if he got those to like being good pitches as technically fastballs, it's still pretty damn hard to succeed in Major League Baseball without at least like a league average four-seamer. And maybe it will be. You know what? Maybe it will be. This is his first start that we just watched. He was dynamite in the minor leagues with those breaking balls, but nevertheless, we'll see about his fastball. That concerns me a little bit, but I think, spamming curveball, sliders, sweepers a good amount will work a decent amount of the time, I'd say. Sometimes it won't. A lot of times it will, especially if those pitches are good. The pitching dev like this too, I feel like they can get more out of his fastball, but no matter what happens, this is another rousing pitching development success for this baseball team. I mean, he was a 12th round pick. He sucked in college. His results were awful, but the Mariners liked his stuff, and they liked what he looked like and what they could do with him. And look what they've done. He was immediately so much better in the minor leagues in college, which is crazy, because it wasn't like he was pitching that differently necessarily. They didn't dramatically change what he was doing. They just liked his stuff a lot. And for whatever reason, he was getting hit around in college a lot. So, I don't know. He's a little similar to Wu in terms of the dev success here. Not a similar pitcher, but like a similar enough comparison to make for such a big development success. Where Wu was also bad in college and was coming off surgery in college. The Mariners loved his stuff, specifically the shape of his fastball. Look what they've done with him. Logan Evans, a little bit sucked even more in college. Wasn't coming off surgery, which was a huge concern for Wu. was just straight up bad. The Mariners have been like, no, you're actually good. And they were right. So, still, pitching injuries to Logan Gilbert and George Kirby, not good. Kirby is close to a rehab assignment, it sounds like. He's been throwing bullpens. And then Matt Brash, too, on the pitching injury front, has been in AAA for a little while now. It seems like he is poised to debut in May, hopefully sooner rather than later. But Logan being out for even if he's out a month and comes back fully healthy, which is definitely big, I doubt that'll happen. Even if that happened, best case scenario, it is really tough, especially considering what he was pitching like before he got hurt, like a Cy Young frontrunner. That is incredibly, they're not going to be able to replace it at all. You can't replace that. Like Logan Evans, Hancock, whoever else. There's no one to replace that. I mean, he was pitching like the best pitcher in the American League, basically, before he got this forearm tightness. So it sucks, and you just can't replace it. It puts a lot more pressure on George Kirby to be good when he eventually does come back to being, when the reins are taken off and he's just back. It's a lot more pressure on him to be good. But what we've seen from Hancock and potentially from Evans, I think will be fine, especially if this offense is going to score 6 runs a game on average, then yeah, they're going to be okay. But we'll see if that continues. On the other side of the ball, Dylan Moore, we know Robles is on the IL for a while, 60-day. But Dylan Moore is on the 10-day now with hip inflammation. This was kind of under the radar. All of a sudden, Dylan Moore was on the IL. Sounds like he'll be fine after his time is up, though, which is good. Luke Raley, though, is now on the IL. Also, there was a video of this, but it was also fairly under the radar of he got scratched from the lineup. Then all of a sudden, bam, 6 weeks, maybe more, out with an oblique strain. I hate obliques. They suck. I've talked about this a lot. But it's just such a curse upon baseball players, the oblique, or obliques. They're almost worse than elbows. Now hear me out. Because if you get Tommy John surgery, the Thomas Johnson, or you get like the internal brace or whatever, if you get any type of knife work done on your elbow as a pitcher, obviously that is the worst case scenario. But you know how long you're going to be out for, roughly. We can estimate this very well. There's so much data to go off of now. We can be like, yeah, you're probably going to be out for this. You're going to rehab for this much time. You'll be back pitching in this much time. And it's pretty much true. They've really gotten it down to a science. I know it was a science before, but now it's even more like they've gotten good at estimating and good at getting guys back quicker. Wow. Obliques, though, and this is similar, I guess, to other muscle injuries like hamstrings and stuff, but obliques, it feels like for baseball especially, it's like you're out for a month plus with an oblique strain, maybe, because as a hitter you need obliques to hit. Like if it's a strain that needs to be graded by a doctor, you're going to be out for a few weeks at least. And then we'll see. And then you might be out for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. If it's a real bad strain, you just got to rest, try to swing. If it hurts again, you're out, and keep doing that. And that sounds awful. It's just, there's the world of unknown. With Tommy John, there's a world of no. You kind of know the timeline. Obliques, it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. It could be short term, could be long term. Just such a nag of an injury. It sucks. It just sucks. Sucks for Raley. He was having a not good start to the year, but he also started really slow last year. He had a very bad April, and then really picked it up. His May and June were fire. So it just sucks. And it sucks especially for a team who doesn't have a particularly good depth or multiple good depth outfielders now that Robles and Raley are out. Those are your two, essentially, with Dylan Moore, who's also out. Those are your 3 outfielders after Julio and Randy, who are in pen in the lineup and center and left every day. You had the right field of those 3 guys, essentially, and they're all hurt. Dylan Moore will be back soon, but Dylan Moore he's positionless. He's not going to be a full-time right fielder. He's going to play all over the place because the team needs him to do that. It's just brutal. The replacements for Rayleigh, and now I guess for Rayleigh and Robles, we want to rope them both in, they provide a very small fraction of upside that like Rayleigh provides and Robles provides. Samad Taylor and Rylan Thomas don't really inspire me, if I'm being honest with you. I say that, and I'm sure they'll both post like 800 OPSs for the first couple weeks of May. I'm sure of it. And then Canzone is also the obvious replacement for Rayleigh long term, more than Smod and Rylan, just because we've seen him more. He has more service time. I think the team, this is the season they really need to see if he's actually can hit breaking pitches in the big leagues, and if not, there's a conversation to be had. But we'll probably see Canzone be more of a full-time guy, which is a little bit of a threat. So if either of those guys get sent down, like Rylan Thomas and Samad, one of them will go down again probably, unless they play their hair on fire when Moore comes back. And then I guess there's Miles Mastropioni still on this team. He will play more corner outfield now in the short term, and frankly, he hasn't been as bad as I expected thus far. I got to be honest, but long term, not the answer. Sorry to say it. He's just simply not the answer. So it's pretty bleak in the depth department, but I say that, and they keep winning. They keep winning, but that's just the state of the team. But that's where we're at now. Some April numbers. Now, a preface for these numbers. When I say April, I'm talking about April and those last few days of March, obviously, but I'm not going to say April, March every time I refer to the month. Just going to say April. And then these also are, they cut off at midnight April 30th. So May 1st and on, that's not what I'm talking about here. But I want to start by doing just some number association here. 1 through 10. 0 through 10, actually. Let's start at 0. The number 0, that is Andres Munoz's ERA in the month of April. Pitched like an absolute demon. Still hasn't given up a run. Is on pace to throw like 70 innings and get 60 saves. We'll see if that happens. He is one of the best relievers in baseball. He has been, you could argue, he's been the best reliever in ball this year. Mason Miller maybe better on a per inning basis, but Munoz has thrown double the innings as him, so I know where I stand. Now the number 1, that is the Mariners' offensive rank in all of baseball in walk percentage. They lead the league in walks. Amazing. 2, the Mariners rank in all of baseball in WRC plus as a team, only behind the Yankees. 3, the Mariners' offensive rank in all of baseball in home runs and stolen bases, not combined, in both columns, 3rd in both. A little combo meal team we have on our hands right here. 4, the number of quality starts that Brian Wu already has. He leads the team. 4 of his 5 starts have been quality by definition to start the year. He's been the Mariners' best starter outside. Well, now he is the Mariners' best starter on paper. Logan out. I was going to say excluding him, but he is technically currently excluded. Where am I at? What is after 4? 5. 5 is the number of times that this team scored 9+ runs in a single game in April. At the end of April last season, they had only done that twice. So already scorching, basically picking up where they left off in September. Is it Edgar? Is it Seitzer? Is it something else? I don't know. 5 is also the number of games that the Rockies won in April, so I wanted to throw that out there. 6 is the number of pitch types that Logan Evans threw in his first MLB start. I talked about the kitchen sink approach for a rookie pitcher. Quite rare, but he did it. Cutter, sinker, sweeper, changeup, curveball, and four-seam in that order of pitch usage. Very fun to see a guy like that because I love you, Darvish, and I really like Seth Lugo, not as much as Darvish, but I love guys who have that many pitches. I think if you've listened to this podcast, you know that about me. 7. The number of series wins in a row this team has. They dropped the series to the Giants, and since then they've won every single series. They kept losing the first game of 3-game series and then winning the last 2 games. They just technically swept the Angels in 2 games, although that's not really a sweep. I don't know what that is, but it was a 2-game series against the Angels, which felt weird, but they won both of them, so that's a series win. 8. That is the number of stolen bases that Randy Arozarena had in April, tied for 4th in ball with a bunch of guys, but still. He was running a lot. Really good to see. 9 and 10 are easy. 9 is the number of Jorge Polanco dingers in April, tied for 2nd in baseball. And 10, if you can guess it, is Cal Raleigh home runs in April, tied for 1st in baseball with former Mariner, 4 home run in a game hitter, Eugenio Suarez, good for him, and Aaron Judge, who is pretty decent. And those are the league leaders as of the end of April 30th. Oh, and then one more number outside the 0 through 10, 253. Can you guess what it is? You probably guessed right. That's Jorge Polanco's WRC plus at the end of April. 253. Now, he's not technically qualified as a hitter. Not technically, but if you set it, cherry pick a little bit to Jorge Polanco's exact play appearances of 80, that puts him 2nd behind Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is unreal good. It is crazy how good he's been. But Jorge Polanco, he's the story of April for this team. I would say it's Cal Raleigh, but it's not. It's Jorge Polanco. The offense is the story of this team in April, and who's been the best player offensively? It's been Polanco. He has been scorching the ball. Mark DeRosa did a good breakdown of his batting stance changes on MLB Tonight. He has closed off his stance. Everything about it is just kind of shorter. Like he's doing less. It's more repeatable. Like he just kind of does a little toe tap, timing load, and swings right through it. He had a home run the other night on an outside pitch that looked not carbon copy, but very close to a classic vintage Robinson Cano home run. He has been insane, and it's the funniest possible way for him to get here. He's re-signed after a very disappointing year as a third baseman. He was awful at second base last season. He was also hurt. He had the knee injury. I remember specifically talking about this in my preview where you could look at it glass half full, glass half empty. Was the season so bad because of his knee injury, and now that it's fully surgerized, healed, I'm just going to say healed, he's going to come into this year looking a lot more like his usual self? Or is he like a 32, 33-year-old who just came off the worst season of his career, who just also got knee surgery, and is that going to just make him infinitely a permanent below average player? It's looking like the latter it's looking like the former at the moment. Like it's looking like he is Barry Bonds a little bit, but they signed him to play third base, and that didn't work out because he got hurt and looked terrible, and he can't swing right-handed because he's hurt, but he's swinging the piss out of the ball from the left side of the plate. Is so peak Mariner to me that there's so many little asterisks on why he has less plate appearances, but he has a 253 WRC plus and 9 home runs and 80 plate appearances in April. It's just insane. Like, and the swings are legit. Like it's gorgeous swings. He's ripping the ball. He's being super aggressive this year too. He is not waiting around. He is that, I guess you could say it's the Edgar approach of this team of just like, yeah, you see a good pitch, hit it. He has done that. It's been crazy. And the rest of this offense, like I mentioned earlier as well, and I'm done with the numbered associations. Now I have just some other numbers to throw at you, but that was the fun game. The rest of this offense has also just been so shockingly productive. Like I mentioned, these guys, like the bottom of the order for this team, for whatever reason, and I don't know how sustainable this is, have been so damn good and have just come in, not necessarily clutch, they're just like have been consistently creating runs. Like Ben Williamson has had a tough week. I think pitchers have already kind of adjusted to how he swings, and he needs to adjust back. But you look at Leo Rivas in 39 plate appearances has a 23% walk rate and a 180 WRC plus. Dylan Moore, before he got hurt again, also was hitting the cover off the ball. Kyle Raleigh, we covered smashing the ball. JP, after his awful week to start the season, has a 149 WRC plus. That is first among shortstops, qualified shortstops. He's at almost 18% walk rate and has been just spraying line drives all over the park. Randy, again, it reminds me to say it again, he's never been a bad hitter. He has never been a below average hitter in his career since debuting. He's not currently right now. Swing and miss, yes. Hitting the piss out of the ball, yes. Coming in clutch constantly, yes. His approach, his focus when there's men and when there's runners in scoring position is insane. Like let's just peek at his leverage splits right now. So in low leverage, he has 65 plate appearances, a 204 average. In medium leverage, 52 plate appearances, he's got a 171 average, 3 home runs though. High leverage, small sample, I will say, 14 plate appearances, but 364 in those high leverage opportunities, and he's just such a fun player to watch. Like he really is just a joy to behold. And I can't believe he's a Mariner. I still can't. It's pretty awesome. Actually, I want to say as well, his WRC plus in those numbers, I'm going to say, because average is whatever. Low leverage, 100. Medium leverage, 137. High leverage, 273. Big clutch guy. A lot of win probability added for him this season. Big part of why this offense has been humming. I would say him and Cal, I don't know about that. Him and Cal have been the most consistent. Like Jorge Polanco has been consistently mashing since he moved off of third. Well, I mean, he's just been more sporadically in the lineup. Like past 2 weeks, yes. But like Kyle Raleigh has 135 plate appearances. Randy has 131 versus Polanco's 80, right? So that's where they've been in the lineup more every day and have been super productive, where Jorge Polanco's been in the lineup less, but has hit like prime Barry Bonds when he's been in the lineup. Polanco's numbers are also funny. He's striking out 11% of the time, walking 5%. That is very MLB The Show coded for me. I don't walk or strike out much in that game. I mash, and I put the ball in play. And Polanco doesn't even really care to go to like 3 ball or 2 strike counts that much. He's just like, yeah, you give me a pitch in the zone, I'm just going to rip it. He's seen a lot more 3 ball counts the past week, I've noticed, because pitchers are genuinely scared of him right now. And it's amazing. It's phenomenal. But enough about Jorge Polanco. Who else is on this offense? Julio I talked about last week. If you haven't listened to that pod, I would recommend it. It's about some fun baseball status quo changes, plus a somewhat deep-ish dive into Julio's start and the weird April that he's had. It's weird, not really all that bad. He is, as we all know, a notorious slow starter, and this has been his least slow start yet, so there's that. He has a very nicely improved walk rate, slightly reduced strikeout rate, so the signs are quite good for him, even though it's not an amazing month. what does he got? 103 WRC plus, like 207, 309, 372 slash line. Not great. Not great. Talked about his BABIP last week. It's up to 250. Still would expect that to be higher than this, especially just with the amount of pulled ground balls and line drives that he's hitting. Like, that's still a pretty low BABIP. I still would expect that to be closer to where his career is, like by the end of May, which is like a 330 BABIP. Obviously, we'd like him to hit more home runs. Still playing great defense in center field, but yeah, like he's going to need to be a better than 103 WRC plus guy. But again, this is a better start than we've seen from him in April. So if he's 100 to 110 OPS plus WRC plus until like the June, July, where he hits the piss out of the ball and he can jump up to finishing 30 or 40% above league average where he should be, that would be a phenomenal season. And that's just kind of the benchmark for him. Again, I talked about that last week. We expect a lot more from him, as we should. But luckily, Jorge Blanco has just picked up his and everyone else's slack that hasn't had a great April. So it's okay. Like, the Jorge Blanco is entirely lifted up this team. And this offense is astoundingly good. It's unreal. Like I said, unreal because they shouldn't be this good, but they are, and they just keep getting away with it every day. I swear, they keep getting away with these lousy lineups, and I don't know how long it's going to continue, but I don't really care. I will enjoy it. Mitch Garver has, and his basically full-time backup catcher role has been solid in his limited opportunities. If he does this all year, this is a super useful player. Walking a ton, that's always something that he's done. That's even something he did last year. No, just no one cared because he didn't really hit much else. If he keeps the strikeout rate below 30%, which where it's at right now is 28.1%, or in April. It's probably different now that this is releasing. May 4th? This is coming out. Or May 3rd. We'll see. If he keeps the strikeout rate below 30% with that high walk rate and just hits lefties well, like was basically expected of him when they signed him, that's all you really need from him at this point, especially after his disappointing 2024. If he's just going to be the backup catcher, it's fine. If he can DH against lefties and hit them well enough on the days he's not catching, that would be awesome. But if Jorge Blanco is going to hit lefties and righties this great just from the left side as the DH, then there's just no point in utilizing him anywhere else. But Mitch Garver, I mean, he's been like 57 plate appearances, but it's been as good as you can ask for thus far. Like if he 114 WRC plus, high walk rate, if he does this at a backup catcher role, it's like a 1 to 2 win player. That's very useful, especially when you have a full-time catcher in Cal Raleigh that is going to put up 5 to 6 F4 again this year. So good, mostly good from this offense. I mean, Donovan Solano has been awful, -7 WRC plus. He hasn't really been barreling anything. I called this a useful signing again, and he's just been so bad, just awful. I called it a useful signing because if he was just going to be like a platoon bat who can hit lefties, that was going to be quite useful. And if he did that, like he did the past couple of years, quite useful. But then I also threw out and covered my ass a little bit the what if he's cooked because he's 37 and they sign a guy who is basically off the cliff, And it looks like they might have done that. It looks like, and I said they might have signed him too late. If he was on this team the past, like from 2021 to now, that would have been a great player. Are you kidding? If he put up like the similar stats, that would have been an awesome player for this team. But no, they signed him when he's 37 and on his deathbed. No, I'm just kidding. He's just been awful. I don't know how much longer they're going to have to put up with it. He's gotten a couple hits this week. That's huge. But if he's not going to do anything else than, hit singles and play a subpar first base, they might just have to cut ties with him. I mean, he's on a major league contract, but it's only what $3 million, so they can DFA him. He's old enough and a veteran enough. He can just, and he probably would, I'm assuming, just elect free agency and get released rather than go down and play in AAA. That would be my guess. But I don't know. And I'll take a little peek at the minor leagues next week. But I know Tyler Locklear is hitting the ball well in AAA. I still am quite a skeptic at the major league level for him, but he at least offers upside that Donovan Solano doesn't, because he's 37, and Tyler Locklear offers like, hey, what if upside that we can blindly hope he fulfills. So that's something, at least. But then the rest of this team, I didn't even talk about Ryan Bliss too, and him being hurt. That also really hurts, just the everyday infield. But like Miles Mastrobuoni, Rowdy Tellez, two guys who shouldn't be on this roster still, but they are because they kind of have to be. I don't know what they do with either of them. Again, Rowdy Tellez and Donovan Solano. I don't know what you do there now that Rayleigh's hurt. They've really put themselves in a bad position, because Rayleigh was that first baseman that lefty first baseman that you could play. That when he wasn't playing the outfield, you could play him at first as a lefty against righties. And now you kind of have to do that with Rowdy. And then theoretically, you're going to have a good right-handed first base option in Solano. Now you don't. So maybe you do that with Locklear and keep Rowdy Tellez. I don't know. I don't really know what they do. They don't have another left-handed infield option, really. Like they do in Cole Young, but he's not going to help play first base, and I don't want Dylan Moore to play first base when he comes back. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It's tricky. It's tricky because Samad Taylor is probably going to be demoted when Demo comes back. I can't believe Miles Mastrobuoni is on this roster. I said he hasn't been that bad. He's been bad, but it's not been as bad as I thought. It's just still he doesn't belong on a team that's contending. But again, they keep throwing him in lineups, and they keep just scoring 8 runs when he's in the lineup. So what do I know, really? But enough about the offense. The offense has been great. I don't have much else to say about that. I say as I've talked for like half an hour about the offense, but we'll see Dominic Canzone again soon. I know that as a fact. I know that as fact. Maybe he gets demoted for Samad and then Mastrobuoni. Maybe that's the swap. You swap the Italians, Mastrobuoni and Canzone. When Dylan Moore comes back, Samad Taylor gets sent down, and then I guess you still have Solano and Tellez at first base, but I bet Locklear will be up sooner rather than later if Solano continues in the negatives of the WRC Plus land. So on to the pitching. Let's talk a little bit of pitching. I already talked some about the starters and the injuries, right, to Kirby and unfortunately Logan Gilbert. And Matt Brash is coming back soon. Again, Kirby's on the way to coming back. I hope we'll see him in a major league game by the end of May. I'm still tempering my expectations there, but hope. And then Hancock and Evans filling in. I don't have as much else to say about them. I talked about them a little bit. Like Hancock's been just fine. Very serviceable. And Evans, I talked about him. But the other core 3, overall, I'd say, have been fine. As a team pitching, they've also just been fine. I think like total team ERA, they've been middling. Like I think they're 13th team ERA, and then as starting pitcher ERA overall are 13th. I think 12th is where they're at as a team with the bullpen included. So just like fine. Fine. Like good pitching staff still, we know this. I think unless the entirety of the starting rotation implodes injury-wise, the floor is incredibly high for this team, especially where they pitch at home. Like, no matter what, I feel like the benchmark for this team is league average, like ERA. Like 13th, 14th, 15th feels like the floor for this team with Kirby back and with Gilbert back pitching like he is, and with Wu pitching like he is, and Bryce and the Leafs, even as they've struggled a little bit early on, that's still, again, an incredible pitching staff. Part of their allure past couple years has been the health. So this is what I was afraid of. I think past few years, this is at least this past, we'll say last year. You can throw in the year prior to a little bit, but they've been the best staff in baseball. On a per inning basis, they haven't been the best staff in baseball. I'd say top 10 at the very least, probably top 5. Just getting guys out. They've been really effective at that, but it's been the health and the amount of innings they've been able to accrue, I think, propels them to the best team overall in baseball. I think that is, it's not a market inefficiency in baseball right now, is starters that go deep. I guess it technically is, but everyone knows it. It's just, I think it's so valuable to have guys like that, and the fact that two big horses are out is brutal. But they've still been fine, and the good thing is their offense has been insane. So they've kind of swapped roles here of the pitching being in the middle of the pack, a little bit better than the middle of the pack, and the offense being the second best offense in baseball. So it's been odd, but I think the pendulum will swing either way for both of those stats. I don't think they're the second best offense in the league. I don't think they're the 13th best pitching staff by ERA. I think they're better at pitching, and I think they are not going to stay that on offense. But the individuals, Brian Wu and Logan Gilbert was awesome. I'm not going to talk about Logan. Just tremendous. There's not much else to say about him. He was awesome. Talked about him already on these podcasts. He was probably Cy Young front runner. One of them in the American League. There's a lot in April. Some guys have crazy Aprils, but he's leading the league in K-rate, I think, for starters. All of his pitches were phenomenal. His splitter especially looked like it took a big step this year. Just sucks to have him out, but there's not much else to say about him and how he was pitching. He was pitching like a absolute dog out there. But the other guys, Brian Wu, he's been amazing. He's been awesome and really doing it like the same way. He has been since like last year, leaning heavy on his very, very special fastball, daring guys to hit it, and they just simply cannot hit it. His fastball it's been even better to start this season than it was all of last year. It is an amazing pitch. The velocity is up on it as well, which I attribute to him just being healthy compared to how the first half of his of his 2024 went. So there's that too. His command has been stellar, noticeably better, I feel like, from last season. Also, maybe that's a health thing. Maybe it is. But just dotting up both fastballs really, really well and pitching super efficiently. God, he's just so fun to watch. I love watching him. There's not even much else to say. I have more to say, but you can just leave it at that. He's so fun to watch, so effective, special fastball. You don't need to say more, but I will. I will say, as he hasn't been truly elite at anything. Just really effective at like all aspects of pitching. Like, he is not getting the most swing and miss. He's not getting the most strikeouts. He's not like limiting hard contact the best, but he's doing all of those things and more really, really well. I think the thing he's best at is limiting base runners. He's doing a fantastic job at limiting base runners. He does not give himself much to worry about on an inning-to-inning basis on the base pass. He lives in the zone. Again, follows that pitching philosophy of the Mariners of living in the zone, attacking hitters, especially at home. When you have a home ballpark, that's as fortunate for you. It's a lot easier to attack guys in the zone, where fly balls will get knocked down if you leave one in the middle of the zone. I've talked about this before. He'll get hard hit. Like, he will give up hard hits. He's not immune to that. He does give up like a decent amount of hard hit baseballs occasionally. But overall, he's just so good at keeping guys off balance. Like, credit to Cal too. I think he knows just how to call Wu so damn well. The batted balls he gives up as well, the types of batted balls. He doesn't have the most ground balls, but he also doesn't give up many pulled fly balls. So he's not a particularly ground ball pitcher. He's more of a fly ball pitcher. But a ton of the fly balls he gives up, and I say a ton, like a ridiculous percentage he gives up, are to the opposite field as opposed to the center or left of the field. And those are outs most of the time. They don't turn into home runs that often. Like fly balls are outs more than ground balls, but they slug more than ground balls. Pulled fly balls especially obviously go for homers more than fly balls to center field and right field. Fly balls to right field create outs a lot. You're not going to give up a whole lot of opposite fields. And I shouldn't say right field. I said right field. Left-handed hitters exist too. Opposite field fly balls just aren't gonna slug very much. Like you will give up an occasional opposite field home run, or fly balls will find the gap or something. But opposite field fly balls create outs. He's getting a lot of those, which is how he's getting a lot of outs. And fun fact, just before I transition to Bryce Miller, I could talk about Brian Wu for a lot longer, but I can't afford to do that. Wu has given up the hardest hit ball in all of baseball this year, which I didn't even realize before I was combing through his Savant page. 120.4 miles per hour to Vlad Guerrero Jr. If you look at his Savant page and you see the exit velocity highlighted in blue, it says bottom 1% of the league, because that hit was the hardest hit baseball in the sport this year, which is very funny. And so if you look at that, you're like, oh, this guy hits hard. I mean, haven't we all given up a really hard hit to Vlad Guerrero Jr. once in our lives? Come on, cut him some slack. But no, he's been great. He's been the rock. Like Luis Castillo, I understand, but he's been the rock of this rotation now, especially with Logan out. He's the guy to look to of consistency. I said earlier in the number associations, he has only one start this year without a quality start. 4 of them have been quality starts. I bet that will continue into May. He's just so good. The fastball is insanely special, and we're lucky to have him. Now, Bryce Miller. Bryce Miller has had a rocky start to the year. Command has been quite poor. I mean, he walked like 7 dudes in his last game. He said his back was locking up before the start, so I'm sure that affected him. But injury concerns aside, he really hasn't been commanding any of his pitches well. And there haven't really been injury concerns for him prior to saying that his back locked up for that one specific start. So 14.7% walk rate is insane. That will come down, and that 7-walk start definitely is a decent chunk of that. But 24% K rate, that's fine. We're good with that. But yeah, that walk rate is awful. Just a lot of base runners, and he's still managed. He has a 3.52 ERA. Like, I'm really splitting hairs here, but his FIP also looks good. He's still a very, very good pitcher. It's just the command does worry me a little bit. The other peripheral ERA estimators are higher than just ERA and FIP, because he gets lucky with batted balls like he did last year too. When he turned the corner in what was that, late June, when he added his, or July when he added his knuckle curve and then had like a 1.5 ERA the rest of the way. He had like a 3 FIP at that time. He got pretty damn lucky with batted balls, and he still kind of has this season. Like his Sierra is 4.65 compared to a 3.32 FIP. That's a pretty decent split there. So he's still been effective. Like, he's still a really good starter. I say he's at a rocky start. Like, this is still a phenomenal start from a guy. Like, 30 innings, 3.52 ERA. The warning signs are just there command-wise. He has enough pitches, and they're all good enough to get by even with bad command. He has enough of so much stuff. And his fastball, even if he's not commanding it, still has incredible shape and ride on it. And his knuckle curve is really good. It's a great pitch. And his splitter's still a really great pitch. So even when he's not commanding these pitches, he's still a really effective starter like we've seen him be to start this year. But it's just a little worrisome if he can't locate his pitches. Like, that leaves him more vulnerable to get zocked here at some point. He's his best when he can really dot up his fastball at the top of the zone. And honestly his sinker too. If he gets that sinker work in, that is a really good get over pitch, like get me into the strike zone, on the edge of the strike zone as a strike. The fastball is the one that gets swing and miss out of the zone at the top of the zone. It's that pitch that I feel like has been a level off of where we expect it to be. His four-seam fastball, that is. I'm not super duper concerned long term, really. He just has some stuff to like clean up command wise. Like he really hasn't gotten a ton of chase. I think that's just because he's thrown so many uncompetitive pitches. And a lot of the chase he will get, like I said, is at the top of the zone, out of the zone with the four-seam fastball. And he just hasn't been there as much because, like I was saying, he just hasn't located it very well. So, not pressing the panic button on him yet. Bryce, still a great pitcher. It's Bryce Miller. He will make adjustments too. If he's not commanding well, he will do something about it. Still such an effective pitcher despite these concerns. So I'm not like overly concerned about his long-term outlook on this season. And then Luis Castillo, the starter I focused maybe the most on in the preview because of its graceful aging and that being a very, very minor alarm bell. It's basically gone as I predicted thus far, more or less. I mean, his fastball velocity is down another 0.8 miles per hour, but I will say, like most starters, he doesn't usually ramp up to full velocity until around like June, July, so we'll keep an eye on that. But as he's aged, he just can't blow guys away like he used to. It's very noticeable this season already. Still an effective pitcher. I've tweeted it out many times. He's still an effective pitcher. And again, this really isn't shocking. It's looked more or less as I expected, at least, and about as what I'm sure a lot of you expected. His whiff, again, is like last year around league average. Fastball whiff this season is lower than it was last season, like career low. Strikeout numbers are also down so far. I would expect those to both tick up a little bit as his velocity expectedly ticks up as we get into the summer. But the pitch mix, more or less the same. He's swapped his sinker and slider usage in the early season this far. See if that keeps up. But that's like give or take 5 percentage points of a swap, so it's not really that big of a difference. Still same percentages from fastball and changeup, which are his number 1 and number 4 used pitch, respectively. When his fastballs are in the zone, they can get hit pretty hard. I think that's the biggest luxury he doesn't have anymore compared to when they first acquired him when he was a little bit younger and in his physical prime. He just doesn't have the luxury of missing in the middle of the plate with those fastballs anymore. It doesn't really get past guys since the velocity isn't where it used to be. So it's harder and harder for him to get away with mistakes. And honestly, getting away with mistakes with truly elite stuff is kind of how he ate on the Mariners. Like he's such a fun, very effectively wild pitcher at times. His fastballs always and continue to play well on the edge of the zone, but when he made a mistake, sometimes it was like, yeah, you're pumping 97 with really good ride from like a sidearm slot. A lot of guys just swing and miss at that, even if it's in the middle of the zone. Now it's a lot easier for a major league hitter to crush a 94 mile an hour heater in the middle of the zone versus a 97 mile an hour heater. So his fastballs, again, consistently will play on the edges of the zone, on the edges of the plate, but he also he doesn't nibble. He doesn't pitch like that. He goes at guys, and when it catches too much of the plate, again, he gets kind of banged on. So still an effective pitcher. I think by the end of this season, maybe he is just the 5th best pitcher in this pitching staff, and that's less of a detriment on him and more of a credit on the other 4 guys. Because he is still currently, 32 innings, 3.62 ERA, 3.92 FIP. That's still a really good pitcher. He's going to get away with stuff at T-Mobile Park still. The K numbers are just like almost 20% K is not amazing. And as I said, like the whiff on the fastball particularly is down. And that's where he's gotten a lot of whiffs in his career. So we'll keep an eye on that. But that's enough with the pitching staff. Emerson Hancock and Logan Evans. Logan Evans has 1 start. I don't have much to say about him. I already talked about him. And Hancock, 2 quality starts, baby. Book it. Bullpen. You know what's funny is the innings leader out of the pen for the Mariners in April was Edward Pizarro, who was unfortunately just meh, not great. He had some moments, but overall the Pizarro hive is lying low right now. Me being the leader, we are lying low, but he's not the one I wanted to focus on in this pen. The main core guys, how are they doing? Did I say the main core because, bullpens, all of them are work in progress until September. So, still with this team, there's probably 3 at least spots that are like up in the air until September when rosters expand. But the core is, the 4 guys at least that we're pretty confident in. We know 2 guys at least. But I talked about Brash at the beginning of the episode. The Matt Brash activation off the IL seems imminent. Presumably, Troy Taylor or Trent Thornton would be demoted for him. I'd assume it'd be Taylor probably. I don't think they're giving up on Thornton yet. Like I said, might be time soon. But I think they're going to have a longer leash with him because we've seen him be a good reliever in the past. But I will talk about Trent Thornton. But the Brash seems like he'll be back very soon, which is good. All right. Troubles uploading this episode. I'm cutting in. This is the day after I recorded that initial bit. Brash is back. He has been activated. So when I said Brash activation was imminent and they'll probably demote Taylor or Thornton, it was for Troy Taylor. Matt Brash is back. He was on the mound versus the Rangers. Very good to see him back on the mound. But that I was, kind of correct, but that wasn't a crazy prediction. But it literally happened a day after I recorded. Podcast was supposed to be out. Didn't come out. Felt the need to cut this one in here. How many of you will listen to it? Who knows? 57th minute. We'll see. But I wanted to cut that in because I didn't want to just release this on the Sunday morning when Brash literally just pitched last night saying he'll be back soon. So, end of future me cutting into past me and resume episode. But let's start with Andres Munoz. Got to start with Andres Munoz. I mean, he's just so good. You can't say enough about how good he's been to start the year, how good he's been for this team the past couple of years. Obviously, he was the first of the 0 through 10 number association. He was a 0. 0 ERA. He hasn't given up any runs. 0. Normally, as a relief pitcher who's pitched that many innings in 1 month, you probably would have given up runs at some point. No. 15 innings, 0 runs. An animal. An absolute animal. 35% K rate. His slider is one of the best pitchers in baseball. Slider grades out in like every StatCast metric in one of the top sliders in all of baseball. He is insane. It's just, I don't even want to talk about him more because he's just this good. We know he's this good. He'll give up runs probably at some point, but he has a negative FIP. Oh no, he does not. My bad. I was looking at the wrong stat. Sauron, who I won't talk about, has a negative FIP. But he has a 1.72 FIP, which, again, that's still absurd. He's going to give up a home run here. Every outing with him, it feels like I'm scared he's going to give up his first run in a crucial spot. It's going to happen at some point, but we'll see. He's been so good. He's obviously the main guy of the core. But him and Gabe Spire to transition to Spire are the go-to fellas in this bullpen currently. We'll see when he comes back, if he'll be as good as he was in 2023, which he was absurd. I'm sure he'll still be better than most of the rest of the bullpen. Hopefully trustworthy enough after he really gets back on his feet to be the third of this three-headed monster, which we were hoping it was going to be Santos. Wasn't. But Spire looks like the 2023 version of himself, which this team absolutely desperately needs, which has been amazing. I was optimistic about this pen heading into the year, and Spire was a pretty big part of that, coming back from being hurt and just being bad in 2024. and he'll still be a big part of that moving forward. Hopefully he's as good as he's been. He is shoving it in dudes' faces right now. Like, so many strikeouts, destroying hitters. He has been so good. His fastball's been phenomenal, and he seems like a dude that a lefty reliever that you don't need to hunt platoon opportunities for him. You don't need to hunt him to be against lefties. He's a tremendous athlete against lineups with good lefties, but he can get righties out very effectively. Huge as a lefty reliever. So those two guys I have less to say about because they've been that good, and I don't need to explain that. Let's move on to the middle, the big middle, the wide middle of this bullpen. Like, most bullpens have a pretty wide ass middle in modern baseball. Gregory Santos. I talked about him already, but I wanted to mention him here, having the weirdest start to the season I've ever seen from a relief pitcher. He's on the IL and in AAA at the moment, because I wanted to say who the biggest disappointment was. I don't think it's Santos. For as weird and bad as he is, I think it's so far the biggest disappointment who's thrown a meaningful amount of innings over a month is Trent Thornton. It's just been so bad. Relievers are tremendously volatile. It's unfortunate. He's not this bad. He's not 8 ERA bad. His home run to fly ball percentage is like 40%. So that's like impossible for that to continue with a meaningful amount of innings. I don't think he's as bad again as he has like a 7.7 right now. It's not great. Or in April he did. When this comes out, he probably will have thrown at least another inning. Probably doesn't have quite as high of an ERA, but still, like, he's teetering on the edge of a demotion. I still, like I said, I don't think he's gonna get demoted for brash. I don't think so, but I don't know. I think they're gonna pull him out of high leverage, probably as much as they can right now, and then still see if he can pitch well in May. I don't know. When brash comes back, the only obvious demotion, like promotion that would replace Thornton is Troy Taylor, probably, if he gets demoted for brash. I don't see any other, like, who else would replace him? Like, does Shintaro Fujinami just go off for this team randomly? Like, I don't know who else would be the obvious replacement. Casey Lawrence is no longer on the team after being demoted 10 times in April. Like Bizardo, I don't think so. Like Sauce, maybe, if they need another, just a funky lefty in there. I don't know. I think they're just gonna try to have him figure it out. He has a track record of at least being good for this team, and his stuff on his pitches doesn't look terrible. It's just he's gotten zapped by leaving one too many sweepers in the middle of the plate. But the other big middle, the biggest surprise and delight of this pen this year to counteract how disappointing Thornton has been Carlos Vargas. Huge. Massive for this team. He's been there when they needed it too, especially. It's not just empty innings. Like, he has come up huge for this team. He's already logged a ton of innings. In April, for a guy who was a huge question mark whether he was going to be in the opening day pen or not, and 14 third innings in April with a 3.14 ERA. FIP is a little bit higher, but we'll get into that. Been super, super serviceable, like better than expected. He still throws really hard. I don't know if Stuff loves his pitches, but really weird profile for him. I'm cautious about him. I'm not cautious about him being a fine middle relief pitcher who maybe doesn't need to be in high leverage, but hopefully when Brash comes back won't be very much. I'm cautious because of the K rate. The K rate just is not there, and for a reliever, you just need it for me to really be confident in you, especially in baseball right now. 15% K rate is so not good. The swing profile and batted balls for him, though, have been absolutely fascinating, which it's not like he's just gotten super lucky with his batted balls. He's gotten lucky for sure, but it's not all just like no Ks and insane batted ball luck. I'll just tell you his profile. When he's in the zone, with his pitches. Hitters are making so much contact, over 90% contact rate in the zone against him in the month of April. And they don't really chase at his pitches, and they don't whiff a ton at his pitches. It's like just below league average, his whiff rate. All of that contact in the zone, though, is not all of it. A lot of it is weak as hell. Like, it's a ton of ground balls, and guys just like can't square him up at all. His sinker, cutter, slider, all thrown pretty hard. That combo of pitches is bound to get a ton of grounders. It's just crazy how much hitters can make contact on those pitches, but it's not meaningful a lot of the time. It's a ton of pulled balls on the ground and not in the air, which is good. What's also interesting, I said guys don't really chase, but when they do chase, they don't make contact with his pitches at all. So when he gets guys to chase, it's insanely efficient, but he doesn't get them to chase very often. He's a 33% chase contact percentage, which is just over 20 percentage points better than league average. Like, ridiculous makeup as a pitcher, very different, offers just like a really different look than anyone else in this bullpen. I think there's something to that, just having a guy with a different profile mix it up is something I think that is useful. So like cautious, I'm cautious just because of the strikeouts, but just because like getting guys out in different ways is good, you know. But striking a guy out is the best possible way to get a guy out. When a guy strikes out, they're almost out 100% of the time. Drop third strikes, reaching first, like those runners reaching first, rare. It happens, but strikeouts are damn near 100% outs. Batted balls, even if the quality is poor, still leave plenty of opportunity for hits, base runners, runs, all of it. It leaves the door open, even if you're getting the best possible quality, weak quality on those batted balls. So more relying on luck. If he manages to get more whiffs and strikeouts while keeping this batted ball quality like right around where it is, that is a hell of a relief pitcher. And I'm more confident in the team to get him to do that than not. So we'll see. Really odd, like, makeup as a relief pitcher right now, but interesting and been pretty effective so far. And then the rest, like Colin Snyder, I don't have much to say. I like Colin Snyder a lot. He's proven last year is no fluke. He belongs in this pen as like a stable middle relief option. 13 to third innings, plenty of work, 3.38 ERA, similar FIP. Like, just, he wasn't going to have the insane ERA he did last year. I pointed that out in the preview, but that's still an effective relief pitcher. Casey Lugamina, the big bean, has looked like a relief pitcher for sure. He looks like a guy who probably will bounce back between AAA and AAA and the majors, still be fine. And that's basically what the pen has been so far. I'm excited for when Brash comes back. I still am pretty optimistic about the pen moving forward, especially with the way Munoz and Spire have looked. I think there's probably Santos really throws a wrench in how bullish I was on this pen at the start of the year, unfortunately. So if they can't figure out him, that's more reliance on Troy Taylor and like Carlos Vargas, Colin Snyder, and even like Thornton to figure some shit out. But I think there's probably a bullpen acquisition on the way this year at some point. This might be the year to do it, to push for just a really good bullpen while you're potentially first at some point later in the year. Hopefully, knock on wood, we'll see. I don't know. But that was the pen. That was the pitching. That was the April that this wonderful baseball team just had. And I'm going to cut it here. It's been a decently long one. I'll be back soon to talk about whatever the hell this team has been doing in the early parts of May. Hopefully they're still in first. They're still somehow scoring a ton of runs with these lineups. Again, it's been enjoyable. I'm like, the Mariners fan brain in me is not letting myself get too excited about these offensive numbers yet. But we'll see if his continues in May, and we're going to have a serious conversation about doing something more than just retiring Edgar's number and getting a statue. I think we're going to have to do something more. And naming a street after him, because if he's turned around this offense and it's actually legit, we got to do something else. I don't know what, but something. But thank you all for listening. Appreciate it if you've listened to this whole thing. Thank you. It was a day late uploading, unfortunately, but it happens. I'm still just talking about April. Thankfully, this is only coming out on the 4th. I didn't get too deep into May, but of course, I will leave you with a have a great rest of your week, weeks, weekend, whatever, and go Mariners.